Well, I don't know if we already talked about the title of our show for today. We're on episode 223.
Yes.
And it's titled Why, How, and When of Buckets.
Why, how, and when of buckets.
Mm-hmm. So Jason, why are we doing a show today about the why, how, and when of buckets?
Well, this is exciting because we just launched a new feature for the retirement budget calculator. And so I wanted to share with our listeners what this new feature does. But at the same time, I want to talk about this whole idea of creating different buckets of money to draw from as you head into retirement. So I thought today would be a great day to talk about why bucketing, how you do it, and when you should consider setting it up.
Great. So, Jason, I want to share some feedback that we've had on the retirement budget calculator before we move on. So this is from one of our customers.
Yeah.
So Vin says, I have been using your program and I'm enthralled. I have looked at about 40 different retirement programs, but never found one with such specificity and predictability. P.S. You might want to know that you won the Rock Retirement Club survey of the best calculators. But you probably knew that.
That is pretty cool.
Isn't that great?
Man, I love when people reach out to us and just they have encouraging words because we're building this for our community. We're building it so that people's lives are better. And I'll tell you, I'm the type of person that responds to words mean a lot to me. So when people take the time to share a positive review like that, it just means a lot. But yeah, my friend Roger Whitney, he is the Retirement Answer Man. He has a podcast. And he reached out to me because he said, Jason, we sent the survey to all of our listeners, and we asked them, it wasn't like it was a fill in the blank. It wasn't a multiple choice. What's your favorite retirement calculator? And he called me to let me know that the retirement budget calculator won that was the number one pick amongst his listeners. And I just thought that is so cool yeah.
Very great. And I have one more to share from one of our customers. Shane wrote, I had the chance to play around today with the RBC. I have to say you've done a great job. My wife and I worked with it for a few hours this morning and everything worked perfect. Keep up the good work.
I know.
Wow.
Is that cool? So the retirement budget calculator is getting better and better and better. And because of that, Emilia, we've got a couple of important announcements that I need to let people know about before we get into the how, when, and why of setting up buckets in the first place.
Yeah. So let's talk about what's going to change on December 31st of this year, 2019.
December 31st, 2019. Okay. We have three things that are changing. Number one, we have had coupon codes available to our listeners and our community and the whole world, actually. And all coupon codes are going to come to an expiration date December 31st of this year. So while there has been a coupon code, you've been able to get 50% off. Just want to give everybody an advance warning because I know some people are going to reach out to us January 1st and they're going to say, hey, can we still get that coupon code? And the answer is no. So this is coming to an end. I just want to give everybody plenty of warning. We're in the middle of November, so that's plenty of time for them to understand.
Christmas present.
The second piece that people need to know is that the price is going up significantly. So what we have been charging, the fee has been a one-time fee of $54, just a one-time fee of $54. The retirement budget calculator is going to be $95 going forward. So the coupon codes are going away and the price is going from $54 to $95. And again, December 31st is when all this changes. So come January 1st of 2020. And then the last one, and this one's significant as well. Up until this point, Emilia, we just wanted to grow a community around the retirement budget calculator, and we've done a really good job of doing that. But in order for us to continue developing it, it's going to help if instead of just charging a one-time fee, it becomes a subscription cost. So anybody that purchases a retirement budget calculator won't pay the subscription. They get grandfathered in. But anybody that buys a retirement budget calculator after December 31st, they will all pay that $95, not as a one-time fee, but as an annual subscription. So we've got three things changing. Number one is the price is changing. Number one, all coupon codes go away December 31st. Number two, the price is going up from $54 to $95. And then number three, it's instead of being a one-time fee, it's going to be an annual subscription. The thing that I know people are going to be worried about, they're going to say, wait a second, Jason, if we already paid, $54 or $27, some people only paid $27 because they're using the 50% coupon code. Yeah. They're going to say, are we going to have to pay this subscription fee? And the answer is no. They're getting grandfathered in under the one-time fee. It's just going to be different for people that sign up after December 31st.
Okay. So just to remind our listeners, if you want to take advantage of the podcast code that's still going on today, so if you go into the coupon code podcast, you'll still get that deal and get grandfathered in.
That's true. Yeah. So instead of paying $54, you only pay $27 if you use the coupon code podcast. But again, I just want people to not reach out to me on January 1st and ask for that deal because it's not going to be there anymore.
Yeah. So we are done with that, everyone. All right. So, okay, now that we have those important announcements out of the way, let's talk about why, how, and when of buckets. Jason, why would people use buckets in their retirement planning?
Yeah, so one of the things we're always trying to teach, Emilia, is that the deaccumulation, the distribution of your funds in retirement is different than your accumulation years. In your accumulation years, you don't have to think about buckets. All you have to do is stay disciplined and save and invest and let your money work for you. And in fact, I'm a big fan of encouraging people to take on a lot of risk when they're younger because they don't have to think about that money. It just has a lot of time to compound and grow. Albert Einstein says the eighth wonder of the world is compounding interest, and time is your friend when it comes to accumulating money. Time becomes an enemy almost when you are retired because now what you want to try to avoid is a lot of volatility. And so what you do when you create buckets is you determine how much money you're going to need in the short term and then how much money you don't need to touch for a long period of time. And the money that you're going to be drawing down from those first couple of years of retirement, you want to take as little risk with that money as possible. So the whole idea of bucketing is basically a simple idea that says time is the cure to the volatility of the stock market. The more time you have, the more risk you can afford to take. Money that you need in the short term, we can't afford to lose it. We don't want to be drawing money out of an account that's falling in value. Money that we know that we're not going to have to touch for 10 years, that's where we can afford to take more risk with those assets. And that's the newest feature that we launched in the retirement budget calculator is now the calculator is getting smart enough to be able to help people identify how much should go into each one of those buckets. And we'll talk more about that as we go here. But one of the things that's important, Emilia, is understanding volatility. And so I wanted to make sure that when we were creating the buckets initially in Retirement Budget Calculator, that there was some logic around that.
Okay. So the new feature in Retirement Budget Calculator has buckets of 3 years. Why 3 years?
Yeah, let me explain this to you.
Okay.
So remember, the whole idea with buckets is that we're trying to solve for the volatility of the stock market. We're trying to create more peace of mind. One of the things I want to emphasize about this idea of bucketing is that it can have some disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is if you have a chunk of money sitting in cash. In this case, we're talking about 3 years sitting in cash, and the stock market's going gangbusters. Then you're missing out. You've got this cash drag on your portfolio. The flip side, though, is when the market's going down, if it's very volatile and you've got a bunch of money in cash that you're pulling from to supplement your living, then you're not as worried about it. So I guess it just depends on what's more important to you. It's this balancing act between fear and greed. And so the reason that I started using the 3 years, now I will tell you it's just a starting point. In the future, we may give people more control over this. So if they want to choose 4 years or 5 years, they may. But starting out, we're saying 3 years. And a lot of times when I'm doing one-on-one planning with people, if they've saved enough, we like to use 5-year buckets. But the logic behind the 3 years as a starting point is I did some testing on asset allocation. And the way that I did the testing and the research I've done is I took 60% large cap stocks and then 40% intermediate term U.S. Treasuries. And then I said, let's rebalance that allocation every year. We'll look back to 1972 and we'll just see how that portfolio would have performed over time. And what I was specifically looking for was to understand drawdowns. So I'll just talk about 2 different time periods. The worst was the year was from September 2000 through September 2002. It was a 2-year and 1-month drawdown, and the recovery was by January of 2004. So the recovery time was 1 year and 4 months. So the underwater period was 3 years and 5 months.